In August of 2020, Chinese automaker Kandi launched its US operations, saying that it would be bringing affordable electric vehicles to the US market. Having loved the IMEV's more basic approach to EVs, I really hoped that Kandi might fill some of that niche. This actually wasn't Kandi's first rodeo here, having tried back in 2006 with the unsuccessful and, in the end, rather unfortunate importation of vehicles to the US. Those vehicles mostly ended up being re-exported or destroyed, having been found to be misclassified for import. But that was a long time ago. Step forward more than a decade and things have changed. Kandi is a partner in a car-sharing program in China, and it's making its bid for US market entry. And in a COVID-safe virtual launch, it introduced both the K27 and K23, small passenger cars with ranges of 100 and 188 miles respectively. These cars were approved by NHTSA and the EPA and were ready to hit the road. While neither had fast charging, although DC Rapid was promised as coming for the K23, and both maxed out at about 70 miles per hour, the price point and feature list was otherwise remarkably good. We know from feedback that we got at the time that viewers are really enthusiastic about them both, and we've had ongoing questions from viewers about when we'll review one and when they'll be coming to market. So today, we're going to update you on where Kandi's at. As we all know, bringing a vehicle to market is challenging. And that goes more than double for a new company with little brand recognition. We've witnessed the growing pains of Tesla as it transitioned from producing the Roadster to the mass-market mainstream automaker it is today. And we've also seen the ongoing challenges experienced by companies like Rivian and Bollinger as they productionize vehicles and navigate the complexities of manufacturing at volume and getting a vehicle into the hands of the public. And we know that more companies fail than succeed. However, while Kandi is pretty new to the US, it has been producing cars in a joint venture with Geely in China for several years, so in theory, it already had the production process down. It wasn't intending to set up factories here, at least as far as it announced publicly. Instead, it was undergoing a process of ensuring that the diminutive K23 and K27 met US safety standards, were appropriately crash tested, and also engaged in the long and arduous process of organising a distribution model in such a large, diverse country, with the exciting challenges of meeting differing state regulations and differing state requirements. During the launch, it promised a sales network across every state and announced a service contract with mobile service provider Wrench. And Kandi promised that cars would start shipping in maybe Q4 of 2020. We added them to our list of review vehicles and requested one, and I was delighted when I chatted with Kandi's PR team and organised a car to arrive in January. You may have noticed we didn't review a Kandi K23 in January. That's because my PR contact disappeared and Kandi stopped answering our emails, and my phone calls now all go from the operator to voicemail. This was, of course, shortly after the Hindenburg Research report came out in November 2020, detailing Hindenburg's concerns about Kandi's veracity when it came to the number of vehicles sold, and bringing back to the fore stories from 2013 when Kandi was forced to write off over 3.3 million in Chinese subsidies for electric vehicle sales because the cars had been sold to Kandi-related companies and it seems may never have been used. Instead, a large part of its sales volume from the time had been found sitting and allegedly mouldering in giant parking lots. Hindenburg Research detailed a number of other concerning factors that suggested a pattern of Kandi providing misleading information in accounts and to investors, and it also suggested that Kandi had continued to beef up apparent sales volume by continuing to sell companies related to Kandi vehicles. But of course, Hindenburg Research is part of a short seller group, and so you do have to verify the information it publishes. and Hindenburg is hardly going to publish something that's super positive about a company that it's short selling. But all that notwithstanding, every so often we've left voicemails or emailed because we are as excited as you about more affordable EVs entering the market. Which brings us to the meat of today's story. So where are Kandi, and what's happening with the K23 and K27? Back in March, Kandi announced a major move. As of April, it would be a new headquarters, staying in Texas but moving from Garland to Dallas. The relocation to the 54,000 square foot former Academy Sports location, conveniently located off I-75 and just across the parking lot from the Easy Shine car wash and detail, reportedly allows it to integrate a showroom, distribution centre and corporate offices. Knowing that it was moving meant I checked in on their website rather than just hitting the number saved in my phone to double check that it was up to date. And that's when something odd became apparent. Because while the K27 and K23 passenger cars are still listed on their website, albeit with EPA ranges that are vastly below the original promised ranges, it seems likely that in the launch video and materials Kandi quoted NEDC or possibly WLTP ranges, the ranges now listed on the site are probably the rather closer to reality EPA ranges. Anyhow, the K23 and K27 passenger vehicles are now playing second fiddle to the K27 NEV and the K23 NEV. These seem to be essentially the same vehicles, albeit with slightly different battery packs. So what's going on? Well, first up, neither the K23 nor the K27 appear in the publicly accessible NHTSA or IIHS databases for crash testing. In fact, no Kandi vehicles appear in either. However, as we talked about before with Rivian, crash testing is an expensive business and vehicles do not have to have crash tests performed by NHTSA or IIHS to go on sale. Instead, they need to demonstrate they comply with federal regulations, which may involve internal crash testing. How far through the process Kandi are is still unclear. I reached out to clarify their status on this, but have yet to receive a response. However, the regulations regarding neighbourhood electric vehicles are much less stringent, and vehicles that might not meet federal safety standards for a car may be adequate to meet NEV criteria. Also, to be blunt, people's quality expectations in an NEV are generally a lot lower, so clearing that acceptable quality bar, which is something that there are certainly rumours about Kandi's ability to achieve in China, is going to be easier. The next obvious question is, when are the vehicles going to come to market? During the launch video, the announced date appeared to be Q1 of 2020, but given that that had already passed, people generally assumed that Q1 of 2021 or Q4 of 2020 would be the date. Both of those are receding into the rearview mirror, and the end of Q2 is rapidly approaching, and the only evidence I've managed to find of actual Kandi vehicles for sale is from Lone Star Truck and Equipment, who seem to have several Kandi vehicles on their lot and offer an online tour of a K23 with a curious $6,000 long-range package, which increases its range close to the originally claimed 188 miles. Certainly in the phone camera tour posted online, the GOM shows the car as having 95 miles of range at 56% of state of charge, which works out to around a full range estimate of about 170 miles. But that's it. That's all I can find. There may be more NEVs hiding at independent dealers, but I don't yet see any evidence of a widespread dealer network. So I posed the question to Kandi, how is the rollout of dealers going? And again, I'm still waiting for a response. But a quick look at their website suggests that it is not going rapidly. If you search with zip codes from around the country, nothing comes up. In point of fact, if you search for the zip code of Kandi's new headquarters, the place with the combined offices, distribution centre and showroom. Nothing comes up. So all of that leaves us where? Well, I don't have a lot of hope that the Kandi K23 or Kandi K27 will be coming to market at any point in the near future. And since Kandi are now advertising on Google as America's newest NEV and the cars are no longer website front and centre, I'd hazard a guess that it doesn't really expect to have them here either. It's disappointing. But if you were holding out for the Kandi, I'd suggest looking at the second-hand market. A re-batteried Leaf will come in about the same cost as a Kandi K27, and a high-mileage second-hand Bolt will be in the region of the K23. And to be honest, they'll be more capable. That's it for today. As always, thanks to the folks on my right for being our $15 to $49 a month patrons. Special thanks to our $50 a month patrons Anonymous Freak, Raging Fellows, Gordon C., Paul Conway, Laura Sanborn, Anthony Coates, Denny Hyde, Sean Ueda and Tesla in the Gong. And our deepest gratitude to our $100 a month Patreon supporters John Lyons, Marcel Ward, Reggie Watts, JP Fagerback, Will Graylan and Ian. If you'd like to join the ranks of our wonderful supporters, you'll find links below to Patreon, Bitcoin and Ko-fi. Chat with the team and TE fans over at Discord, and if you'd like to buy some TE swag, just head over to our Redbubble store. That's it for today. Thanks for joining me, and as always, keep evolving.